You cannot think your way out of a body pattern. You cannot read enough books or listen to enough podcasts or repeat enough affirmations and expect the shrinking to stop, because the shrinking is not happening in your thoughts. It's happening in your shoulders, your voice, and the way you hold yourself in the moment before you speak. And the work has to start in the body, with the body, by making the body visible to 10 days before that massive life event, I ran a full marathon with my little sister. Unfortunately, I was diagnosed with breast cancer about 2 months before the marathon. I told the surgeons that I would wait until I ran the marathon with my sister. We finished holding hands and celebrating me beginning a journey of life and death and her coming through it. And that is my brag talk. Today, I want to talk about the day it stops. Not the gradual shift, not the slow build of confidence over time. The day, the moment, the specific choice that a woman makes consciously or guided by enough already. You've worked harder, stayed later, smiled through it, you've shrunk yourself, you've overexplained yourself, you've apologized for yourself, and still walked away feeling like you were the problem. You weren't. You've been playing by rules that were never designed for you, and you're exhausted. You're done. I'm Coach Mo Fall, and this is Enough Already, the podcast for women who are done performing and ready to heal, reclaim, and redefine what their life actually gets to look like when you step into your real power. No more shrinking, no more trying to be less or more, or whatever they need you to be. We're going to name exactly what happened, get free from it, and figure out what comes next. This is your space. This is your moment. Women, we are rising. Let's get into it. She hadn't sung in 22 years. And on that coaching call, it happened to be the anniversary of her mother's death. That is when she stopped singing, because she sung her mother as she passed into the angels. Her mind had fused singing with her mom's death, her voice and her grief, and she put both of them away. Then, that one day coaching, she spontaneously, on the coaching call, asked if she could sing. So she sat on that Zoom call and she sang. She didn't know until the next morning when she looked at the date, 22 years later to the day. Her soul knew, even though her mind didn't quite recall. This is what stopping the shrink looks like. This is what we're talking about today. And the interesting thing is, this is not the first such of an example. As a matter of fact, that particular client began writing songs and doing her music at a whole nother level when she opened herself up to heal her wounds and amplify her soul. Welcome back to Enough Already. I am Coach Mo Fall, and I want to start today with a word I use a lot in my coaching work, a word that most professional women recognize immediately, not because someone handed them the concept, but because they have felt it happening in their own bodies, in real time, in rooms where they were supposed to be equals, shrinking. It's not just an Apple TV show. It's a real phenomenon that every professional woman understands. At some point in every girl's and woman's life, we were told to do something different than what we were doing. And I have grandchildren. I have a granddaughter, and I am very conscious of her experience and how she is being messaged from the adults around her. I only have control over my messaging to her. And I know that she's going to be exposed to some pushback about being too much. She's a feisty young girl. She knows what she wants. She knows who she is. She's got confidence. But I can already see her sort of drifting into what the other girls want to do. And shrinking is not necessarily such a dramatic thing. It's an obvious kind where a woman goes silent in a meeting and everyone notices that quiet de-escalation of not wanting to get rejected, not wanting to be an oddball. The kind that this shrinking becomes so habitual, so automatic, so woven into how you move through professional spaces that you probably stop noticing it. I know for this particular client who sang on that coaching call, she'd almost forgotten that she hadn't sang for so long. And when you shrink, your voice drops before you say something important. And that sentence starts with, I just wanted to, or I might be wrong. So sorry to interrupt. Or my absolute worst one is, just want to be the devil's advocate here. Like you're asking for permission to be on the side of the devil? What? How incongruent. The idea you hold back until someone else says it first so you can agree with them later rather than originating it yourself. The space that you take at the conference table, shoulders in, arms closed, making yourself physically smaller so nobody thinks that you're claiming more share. How about this? How about stretching wide open? Opening your arms and sort of leaning back, chest open, just sort of sitting there expectantly. Claiming more space, claiming the freedom to be chest open, arms out, taking up space. Do you ever have that happen on an airplane where you're sort of jockeying for the armrest? I specifically play games with people just to see what will happen. And mostly it's the men who jockey for position. They not only do it on the armrest, but they do it with their legs spread out beyond the seat parameters. Have you noticed? And so most women shrink because that's their world. Their world is men taking up more space. And some people who might hear my stuff might think that I'm a man hater. I'm not a man hater. What I am is someone who has witnessed and recognized how sexism, gender disparity, and the patriarchy have convinced us as women to be less and to fit in a space that's only available to us instead of stretching out and becoming. So shrinking is not a personality trait, and it's not modesty. It's not professionalism. It's a body and soul and mind pattern that's been built over years in environments where your full self came with a cost. And it's been running on autopilot ever since. Today, I want to talk about the day it stops. Not the gradual shift, not the slow build of confidence over time. The day, the moment, the specific choice that a woman makes consciously or guided by something deeper to finally take up space again. And some of you may have met Christine in an earlier episode of the show. You heard about the moment that she named her inner critic, that she had been borrowing this criticism, the person whose story she'd been running her career from. That work cracked something open for Christine, but today I want to go deeper into her story because what happened next is the most powerful thing I've witnessed in 12 years of coaching. And I've been waiting for the right episode to tell this. And before I really dive into Christine's story, I want to make sure that we're all precise about what shrinking really is, because most of the conversations about this topic stay in the realm of the mindset. And as you know, if this is your more than first episode with me, mindset is a very easy way to blame the person for their limited thinking. And my approach after 12 years of coaching and after my own breakthrough and soul resurrection is that the mindset is something that has been developed by our experiences and our social conditioning. So you have to do a lot of active work in other realms of who you are in order to change the mindset. It's not just a CD that you can just put a new one in. Most of these conversations that stay in the mindset are more about you believing more in yourself and reframing your inner dialogue. But you know what? That belief in yourself and that inner dialogue is framed by something else. And while those things matter, they are not where the shrinking lives. The shrinking lives in your body, which is the house of your soul. And when you have all of that conditioning, your body is in this framework, this dance of feeling certain things that you immediately push down. And your soul speaks through your body. There's no language of the soul. It has a sensation to it. You hear your soul speak through how your body feels. And if your emotions are too overwhelming in the stress mode, in a trauma pattern, in having too incongruent of a mindset, your soul sort of parks itself down and goes, okay, not today, we're not safe. So it's a set of neuromuscular habits, patterns that were built, reinforced, automated over years, specific experiences that have probably been the big bulldozer, and being talked over and learning to speak more quietly next time, having an idea dismissed and learning to qualify it more heavily next time, having all those softeners before you actually say something worthwhile, being told you were too much and learning to take up less space next time. How about the woman who takes the seat behind the seat of the table? When your nervous system has learned all of this, it's been trying to protect you. When full expression led to punishment, I know that story so many times, it found a way to preempt the punishment by managing the expression before the next time, before someone else could object to it. I know that experience so many times. From having sexist remarks aimed at me in meetings, in client presentations, to having be told that I'm too much of a talker, for after a meeting where I felt I was connecting with clients and other team members in such a magnificent way, I hear pushback from my boss's boss through my boss that I should talk less. Now, who else was going to make all those connections and move that stuff forward? So we make a choice every time we get one of those pieces of feedback. Who am I going to be next time? And that's not a weakness. It's an adaptation so that you don't risk losing your job, so that you don't risk not being seen for promotion. And you make a brilliant, costly adaptation. And here is what that means for the work. You cannot think your way out of a body pattern. You cannot read enough books or listen to enough podcasts or repeat enough affirmations and expect the shrinking to stop, because the shrinking is not happening in your thoughts. It's happening in your shoulders, your voice, and the way you hold yourself in the moment before you speak. And the work has to start in the body, with the body, by making the body visible to itself. And that's where we begin. That's where we know where we're at. We listen to the body. And I want to tell you about an exercise that creates that first moment of visibility for almost every woman I work with. And I call it brag talk. And before you roll your eyes at that, even at the word brag, I want to tell you what it actually does, because it's not really what you think. I'm sure what you're thinking about is that it's a superficial sort of convincing ourselves. And while it could seem that way, brag talk is sort of simple, but you have to let it penetrate. You stand, but ideally feel as you speak your accomplishments out loud. You can't just say it. You can't just be reading your job description. You have to say out loud so your body feels the truth, your actual impact, the specific things you've delivered, the results that have happened because you were there, you facilitated, you led, you made massive contributions to the project, the moments where your presence changed the trajectory of something. And you say them without qualifying them, without softening, because the first audience is you, by yourself. Close a door, get into your bathroom, look in the mirror, without adding, but I had a lot of help, or I was really lucky, or I know this sounds like a lot at the end, but just say them as facts. I achieved 140% of annual targets in one of the best years I've ever had in my career, because I led with courage. I got my whole team focused on where we were going. We changed things that were going to have impact. And I led my team to that number. 140% of target meant that everyone got a great bonus at the end of the year. And it's because I led with courage. I took the steps necessary. I was consistent, and I was a great communicator. How did that feel? How did that feel? You know what? 10 days before my breast cancer surgery, before that double mastectomy that was going to mutilate my body and put it all back together like Humpty Dumpty, 10 days before that massive life event, I ran a full marathon with my little sister because she asked me to 6 months earlier as the crowning moment in her weight loss and exercise journey of losing over 110 pounds through diet and exercise. She asked me to run that marathon with her. It was a family event, and it was her successful journey to be able to complete a marathon. Unfortunately, I was diagnosed with breast cancer about 2 months before the marathon. I told the surgeons that I would wait until I ran the marathon with my sister. We ran that marathon together. We finished holding hands and celebrating me beginning a journey of life and death and her coming through it. It was a huge accomplishment that I will remember until the day I die. And so will she. And that is my brag talk. You see, when I say that out loud, it brings emotions and fullness. It brings congruency. I'm not softening. I'm not saying, yeah, but my sister and I, she really helped me wake up in certain mornings. No, there are pieces of that are true, but I freaking did the work. I freaking did the work to get my team to 140% of bonus. These are facts. And here's what happens. When you say that out loud, you're going to feel like I feel in saying my two brags out loud. It's going to bring emotions. It's going to bring truth. It's going to bring congruency. And it's going to deepen how you ground in your soul. Your body gets more comfortable being you when you know how to brag. Not the nervous laugh. The kind of lightness that fills space, that confidence emanates like a beautiful aroma. The sentence starts, the paragraph goes, you own your truth, it feels great to say it, and you arrive at the end of your brag talk statement feeling the satisfaction and success. And that's in your body. When your words come through your voice box and through your mouth, they either have strong power or they sort of dissipate as soon as you say them. And they dissipate as soon as you say them when they don't have your soul power behind them. So it doesn't matter about the words being correct. It doesn't necessarily matter about the language or the vocabulary. It's, did you feel that? Did you feel what just happened in your body? So take a time right now, pause this if you'd like to, and do that for yourself. Name a brag. Name a success. Say it out loud. Own it, because you do own it. And do not shrink. You don't have to shrink from yourself, but practice being full of the excitement of what you did. And saying it again helps you relive the satisfaction of it. Not just a thought, it's the feeling that comes through your body. You can feel it, and you can feel it over and over again. You know, it's enough that we play the talk track of negativity, and we play that over and over again, and we feel it in our body, and our body goes, oh, no, 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 every time we play it. How about if you go, yeah, 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 yeah. That moment of physical self-witnessing is the entry point for all of the work that follows, because you cannot change what you cannot feel. And for most women, the shrinking has been invisible. We have contorted ourselves for as long as we've been living inside a system that didn't invite us to be big. And just the way that things are in the professional world, in the world, you have to take your own initiative, your own self-responsibility. Because what you've learned to shrink, what you've learned to fit into someone else's idea of where you should be, it is time to make that correction. So now I want to tell you a little bit more about Christine. Christine came to our work carrying something she could not fully name. You heard an earlier episode about the inner work she did around her gremlin. Job trauma, truthfully. That voice she traced back to a specific person. She finally wrote it down. And that changed everything for her. But here's the thing. She finally took responsibility for having shrunk, for having let go of a big part of her joy in her life. And when she lost her mother, that began a big shrinking in her soul. And then when she lost her job, She was at the point of, I can't do this any longer. And those two events came together. The daughter still grieving 2 decades later, and the pain of having lost a job that she thought she was doing great. It fused those two things together. Loss and loss. And the voice and her throat and the constriction, and there's a high-pitched thing that was going on when I spoke to her the first couple of coaching sessions. Those things were fused. And then through the coaching, and then finding her soul's truth, all of a sudden freed up her voice box, freed up her soul. And in that moment of coaching, the fundamental, beautiful, soulful version of Christine wanted to sing again. She wanted to express her gift. And she asked if she could. And I said, absolutely. And all the women who were on that coaching call shared, and the release of grief and the expression of Christine's talents and gifts, and her soul finally not shrinking, her soul finally coming to be seen again. And you know what happened? That soul work and that freedom galvanized in a new identity. And she began seeing herself as a powerful CFO, as someone who had talent, and that voice shift that she made, literally, because of the singing, opened herself up to express her performance in a new way, her abilities in a new way, and a compensation level that she had shied away from. She did it. She sang the song in the coaching call, and her transformation skyrocketed. And I will tell you this, the gratitude that she has for that experience warmed my heart and my soul. And in moments where I doubt myself, I remember Christine and dozens of other women who have had transformations in front of me. Thousands have had them, but when they have it in front of me as a coach, it's a new thing. She did not plan on that. Her soul spontaneously was ready. And whether you choose the date consciously or not, or whether you feel it and allow it, when your soul says it's time, you better listen, because it's costing you so much to shrink and to block that out. So one of the most powerful transformations was when she decided she needed to come full soul powered. And that is something I want to give you a little bit more of a framework on, because this shrinking is happening on Tuesday morning, on your performance review, on the email you've written on a Sunday night to get ready to send out on a Monday morning. The shrinking is real, and the framework is the same. So step 1, find the shrink in your body, just like the same thing we do in many of these podcast episodes. Your body is going to tell you the truth. So you need some time alone. You need to be able to say certain things out loud. No qualifiers, no softening. Say it and let your body feel it. Number 2, stay in the discomfort for more than 3 seconds. If you're feeling discomfort when you speak out loud, when you say your brags, when you own the non-shrinking truth, your body's possibly going to reject it or get a little uncomfortable. Don't laugh it off. Don't look away. Stay with it. 3 seconds of tolerating being fully seen, 3 seconds of holding space. That sounds small, and it sort of is, but if you do 3 seconds, you can do more, and you can do more the next time. And you're going to build your own courage. And by the time you do it, you're going to be able to do even more, and you're going to move out that uncomfortableness each time you practice this, and you're going to feel safer each time. And you're going to also then choose not to make yourself smaller. Step 3 is to find a specific day to sort of claim your non-shrinking. And Christine's moment happened in front of a microphone, in front of a coaching call. Kirsty's happened when she entered Miss Maine. Every woman who has done this work has a day, a specific act or decision that they decided to take up more space. that they chose that being small was more painful. Shrinking was more painful. So I want you to identify yours, not the 10-year plan, one next thing, one specific action, one specific step toward courage instead of toward shrinking. So choose the day, make the commitment, and do the thing. If you want support doing that work on a deepest level, the timeline work, the barrier work, the meditation that helps you get back to where your shrinking started and begin releasing it at the root, you can access that by going to www.mofall.com/SPM. It's there for you whenever you're ready to go all the way in. And I want to talk to someone specific right now. I'm talking to the woman who knows that she's making herself smaller, who feels it's happening and can't seem to stop, no matter what, no matter how many books, no matter how many courses, no matter how many times you've told yourself. You need to make those shifts before you walk into the room and hear a different voice. So I need you to hear this. It's not a confidence problem. Confidence is a thought. What you're dealing with is a body pattern, a templated, emotional, soul level combination of being stuck in a deeply grooved, long practiced, automatically running set of physical habits that you have created to protect yourself, to be feeling somewhat safe in environments that are not really safe for you. Your nervous system is doing what it's built to do. It's protecting you. It's loyal. So the work at the soul level is different. And this is available to you all the time to practice coming through. And it's in the moments that you say things out loud, that you use your voice, that you let your body feel the uncomfortableness and let it release it, that the silence ends on the day you decide it does, and you're not the problem, you never were. So let's wrap up with one thing to stop. Stop waiting to feel ready before you use your voice. Ready is not a feeling that arrives before the act. It's something that arrives because of it. Christine was not ready when she sat down in that coaching call, but she felt it coming and she said yes. She did it anyway. Here's the one thing to start doing. This week, I want you to do the brag talk alone, 5 minutes, one accomplishment. I just gave you 2 of mine. No qualifiers. And pay attention to what your body does. I'm in my truth and I'm in my congruency. So when I spoke my truths over those brag talks, I felt the emotional feeling. I felt it deeply. So pay attention to what your body does. Just notice it. You don't have to fix anything at a deep level. Just notice. Just notice. Because you cannot change what you cannot see or understand. And you've been living inside this pattern for so long that it probably is invisible to you. But go into your truth. Carry it forward. The day Christine sang, that day was not like everything was fixed. It was the day that everything became possible. So because she had proven to herself and her body in real time on that day that her soul chose to say yes, even though her mind may have still been stuck in that pattern, her voice gave her proof that she was ready, that it wouldn't break her, that being present and fully heard was something that was going to be able to happen over and over again. You have a day like that waiting for you. So take this forward on a specific day, a specific act, a specific moment where you choose to stop making yourself smaller and you find out, maybe for the first time, what it feels like take up space. I want you to find that day. I want you to choose it. And I want you to tell me what happens when you do. You're not the problem. You never were. Comment below and see the show notes or the links below for further access to my work. I want to hear from you. Let me know if you're going to own the non-shrinking, the brag talk, and the feelings in your body coming through. This is Coach Mo. Enough already. Stop shrinking. Let's go. I'll see you in the next episode. If today's episode hit home, share it with a woman who needs to hear it. Because the best thing we can do is make sure no woman sits alone in an experience that has a name. You've been listening to Enough Already. I'm Coach Mo Fall. Please subscribe and like and comment so this can be sent to more women just like you who needs to hear there is a different way. Take good care.